Situation Ready Survival. I'm Michael. This will be a short video on some essential tools that I think you're going to need to survive in a survival situation. I carry these types of things with me. Some of these I actually carry with me on a daily basis. We'll talk about that. But what I'm talking about is a knife. A knife is a basic tool that will get you through a lot of things. And to have a good one is very, very important. And to have the right one is just as important. So let me tell you what kind of knives I would recommend for a survival situation. And let's talk about those. And let me give you some examples and show you what I really like. And maybe we can generate some conversation here. So join me today as we talk about survival knives. Okay, so in a survival situation, and even for daily use, I would recommend something like this. A multi-tool. There's different brands. This one happens to be a Gerber M600. And I like it because it's durable. It's super durable. You don't have to oil it up. I've had one since 2006 and never had to oil it. But you can do all kinds of things with this. You've got, not only do you have line cutters here, you can grab onto a bolt or a nut. And of course, you can use whatever you do pliers with. And I'm not going to go through all the features on here, but it does have screwdrivers. It has a serrated. You can see I've been cutting cardboard with it. It's got a serrated knife and a straight edge knife. Those are always good, as well as a file and your standard tools, flathead, Phillips head screwdriver, the basics. But one of the other things that this has on it is it has millimeters and inches. It only goes out to about 3 inches, but nonetheless, you can still do some measuring with it. This edge here, I have used as a hammer, not like for large objects, but if you're just trying to nail something down really small and you don't have another tool, that edge can be used as a hammer. And in fact, it slides in and out just like that. I have had one of these for well over 20 years. The first one I had broke. Gerber has a lifetime warranty. They knew it was a manufacturing defect, and after about 8 years-ish of use, they took it back and sent me a new one. And in fact, about 2 years ago, this one here was replaced with that other one, or for the other one, which also broke. And so that's twice they've honored their lifetime warranty. So, multiplier. Well, let's talk about the original multi-tool, which is the Victorinox Swiss Army knife. Again, I don't really have any reason to have like a corkscrew, but this could be used to put holes in leather or fabric. Pretty good tool there. Your basic straight edge. This one has a flashlight built in. Yeah, that's kind of rinky-dink, but it's got the basic things. Well, the one thing that I find myself, I carry this almost daily. The thing I find myself using all the time is these tweezers. I'm always getting wood splinters, rose thorns, all kinds of things in my fingers, under my fingernails, and my skin everywhere. So I clean those, but I use those tweezers a lot. So a multi-tool is always a good option. Now, that brings us to another type of multi-tool. This one was given to me. This one is, you may have seen one of these. They call them survival cards or whatever. This is a blank piece of stainless steel that's been laser cut. It's got some measurements on it. The other side is completely blank. Some of these things functions on this I've never used. It does have actually a pretty decent little serration here, like a little saw. But I have used this little knife blade here to open up, I don't know how many packages. This one and this edge are super, super sharp. It's got a flathead screwdriver here, a bottle opener. You can do different types of nuts with this if you want to. I guess in a survival situation, you may have to. I would hope that I never have to, but this is an option. This is something that I carry in my wallet, and it works fairly well. Just remember that you have it in your wallet. I'll tell you about that in a second. Another thing that you can keep in your wallet, and these are fairly cheap and easy to carry. This is a credit card knife. It's a razor knife, basically, and it's the size of a credit card. About the same size. It fits in my wallet. And basically, on this type of thing, you fold it over here. You fold it over here, and it snaps onto itself. This is not the world's most expensive knife. It's not. It's just a survival tool. Now, this little plastic locking lever can twist and locks the blade from coming out. But if you twist it over to where it's flat, then you have yourself, oops, my bad. I forgot to do it the other way. You flip it up. There you go. Familiarity with your tools, folks. But it folds over, and you have yourself a fairly sharp, thin, non-durable blade, but it's fairly sharp enough that you could open a box or, cut something if you need to out in the field. You could probably even fillet a fish with this. It's flexible enough. In a survival situation, yeah, I would use this. I carry it. Why not? It doesn't take any room up, and it folds back into its original configuration of the credit card, just like that. Now, I will caution you, you get caught at TSA or trying to get into a government building with one of these, they will kick you out. They will tell you to leave or take it from you. I actually had both of these in my wallet when I went to a local courthouse. I was not the one in trouble. But they asked me to leave and to return to my car and get rid of these. So just know, hey, those, and they don't cost hardly anything, a couple bucks for each one probably. But I carry these in my wallet just in case. And guess what? I've had to use them for things. Let's talk about another option that I have, and I carry with me fairly regular. Is just a good folder. A nice folding pocket knife. Now, this is kind of the, I forget what they call this type of shape of blade, but your standard blade. And this happens to be a Gerber, and it works okay. It does its job. It doesn't have any other functions, but guess what? I know that if I have to cut something, a shoelace, a belt, a seat belt, lots of things, anything that needs to be cut, then I have the tool for that job. And I will tell you, not this particular knife, but one that I did have. It's long since gone after 15 years or so. I did actually end up using the back of this blade as a screwdriver, for flathead screwdriver, because I needed it. Beat that blade up. Now, here's another option that some people carry, and this is called, some people call it a box cutter. I call it a razor knife. This is just a cheapy one that I carry, usually in my toolbox. It gets beat around and clunked around. It costs a couple bucks, and I don't really care, because if it breaks, well, then I'll just get me another one for $3 or $4. But the cool part about this is it has, like a razor knife, like a box cutter, it has the button here that you can push, and you can open up the well here and put in a fresh blade. So if you have a bunch of fresh blades, which blades are really cheap, this one's been used and abused, you can tell. I've done drywall with it, cardboard, 550 cord, all kinds of things. And just a nice little folding knife. And when you want to cut something, you have this. Has a nice little clip on the side, pretty durable, but it's a throwaway. I ask more out of it than I've probably paid for it. So I think it's a pretty decent investment, but it's a good idea. I mean, if you run out of blades for a survival situation, if you run out of blades, man, this thing is nothing. That's all it is. So just understand that it's a good option. It's a good option. But which option you choose is, the option you choose. Now let's talk about a couple of specific tools. Okay. Now you guys know that and probably have seen some of my videos. I do a lot of fishing. I cut my own fish. I clean my own fish, cut them, clean them, store them, eat them, the whole thing. And to do that, you could do a knife, regular knife. You could probably do that with any of these knives here. Any of them. Well, this one, probably not. You could probably do that with any of these here. But to really get a good cut on a fish, and I would recommend getting a very good fillet knife. Now this has been around the block. It's probably 15 years old or more. It's you can still buy them. These things are actually quite expensive, but back when I got it, it was not super expensive. But the fact is, the important thing is it's a multi-tool fishing knife. This is called a Fisherman's Solution. It's from a company called Cutco. I'm not advertising for anyone, but the cool part about it is this blade. Let me rephrase this here. The cool part about it is this blade is flexible. You need a flexible knife to get under those bones. But if you have big fish, this knife actually extends out to 7 inches, all the way out to about 9 inches. Has the 8-inch, but has the ability to come out so you can clean it. But you flip that over, locks it back into place, and there you go. You have yourself a very good, very nice, flexible, very sharp fillet knife. And I fillet a lot of fish with this knife. I really like it. It's also a multi-tool. So again, it's not just for filleting fish. It also comes with, I wouldn't recommend doing this, but you can do it if you want to. It comes with fish grabbers, so you could hold on to your fish while you fillet it if you don't want to do, touch the fish or whatever. Or if you have a big fish, you can use this to grab the fish and hold on to it. But it also has another thing on the back here. Okay, it's besides having a very nice storage sheath that you can wear on your belt, it also has a very nice, very fine sharpening stone here. And you can also use that to put a little bit of a finishing sharp on your edge on your fishing knife. But it's got this little groove here, which is kind of cool. So this is for sharpening fish hooks. So if you're out there and you got a big fish hook, or a good catfish hook, or a giant bass hook that you want to sharpen up and it's been beaten up a little bit, run it through here and you will sharpen up that hook pretty good. This is probably the best fillet knife I have ever owned. I'm sure there's better out there, but in a survival situation, orange probably isn't the greatest color. But to fillet fish out in the field, I tell you what, I wouldn't want anything less than this, unless I really want to work. And when you're in a survival situation, you don't want to work real hard. You want to do as much as you can with as little energy as possible. Because everything in a survival situation requires lots and lots of energy. And you may not have the calories to get, to get that energy up. So this is something that I would recommend, a good fillet knife. Not necessarily this one, but it also has another feature here. I'll just show you real quick. And I never ever use this, but with the blade extended, you can use this to put fishing line across and it'll cut your fishing line. I've never used it that way. I have a preferred method that I use. So enough about this knife. Now, I'm going to move on into what I would call an entry-level bushcraft knife. This is a Bahco Laplander. You may have seen my previous video. If not, then please go back and take a look at the Bahco Laplander folding saw. This came as a set, this particular knife and the folding saw, and I'm telling you what, right beside, sitting right next to a Silky, the Bahco Laplander is probably the best folding saw I've ever had. It cuts trees, it cuts bones, and it just cuts and it cuts and it cuts. The same thing with the Bahco Laplander entry-level bushcraft knife. Now, some of you who know a little bit about knives, I am not a Mr. Knife aficionado. However, this knife looks like what is another company called Morakniv. That is Morakniv. It's a Swedish company, and guess what? The Bahco is actually made in Sweden too, by the Morakniv company. The Laplander series of knives comes with this particular knife, which on the Morakniv company is known as a companion. But as the Laplander series, they've included it in here as, of course, the Laplander. Now, this is my favorite knife ever. It is just that. It is a knife that will do everything from cutting wood, cutting leather. It will cut 550 cord. I have filleted fish with this thing. I have done a lot of work with this knife, and it just keeps going and going and going. Now, I'm going to do a comparison here in a minute with, I'll show you a very short comparison with this knife as compared to a $3 knockoff. And yeah, it's not a good comparison, because the Bahco Laplander, in my opinion, for everything, including batoning, you can do some light batoning with this, you can do feather sticks with it, and this knife, this edge right here, sharpens like a dream. It's easy to hold. It goes across I use sandpaper, the 1200 grit sandpaper, like butter, and the edge holds very, very well. Now, I'm not advocating for this company. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is I have put this knife through its paces, and this knife is what I will be carrying. Hopefully, I have it with me when I really, really need it, because this knife is the one I trust. I trust all those other knives for certain purposes, including the Gerber multi-tool, but this would be my ultimate choice. Now, I'm going to move on to a section of the video where I compare this with a $3 knockoff. I was recently made aware that obviously there are people who copy things, but this is a very cheap knockoff copy. And I'll pull this back out here in just a second. This is about a $25 knife. This is a $3 knockoff from a big box store. And when we'll compare them here in a second, but I want you to see that it comes with, again, same type of plastic sheath, but it's not as thick. It still has the water draining hole down here. Pretty decent belt loop. Not quite as nice as the one on the Laplander. But for $3, maybe. We'll see. Now, it looks... We'll pull it out of the sheath here. It looks very similar. It is almost an exact copy with a few differences. And me being a Mora-Knives / Bahco fan, big fan, I can see them. Number one, I can tell you that this blade goes all the way down into the handle. I've seen it. Okay, not on this particular knife, but the blade goes down further into the handle. It's almost a full tang knife. This is not. So weight-wise, the Bahco, it's pretty beefy. Feels good in your hand. It's nice and thick here. This one is thinner a little bit. Doesn't have quite the beef to it. It's considerably lighter. Oh my. And I think we'll do a paper test here in a second. But I think a lot of this has to do with, one, the blade, or the tang as they call it, doesn't go all the way back into the knife as far. I bet it probably stops in here somewhere. But they do have a pretty decent rubberized grip. Both of them do. This one seems a lot better, a little softer than this. But let's look at one of the major differences in these knives. One, you'll notice that this edge here is very dedicated, and I've sharpened it some, so it's moved up just a little bit. This one has very little edge here. I mean, it's very, very little. And the quality of the steel, they're both stainless steel, some version of stainless steel. But if you look, I don't have any way to measure it. But if you look, the quality here on the back of the edge, as opposed to the quality here, this has a higher quality. You can tell this has been formed, and it still has some of the marks on it. And it's been taken care of and was designed for use and abuse for many, many years. This one was probably laser cut out and sharpened really quick, and it just a very low quality grind on this knife. Now that doesn't mean it's not going to be a good knife for something, but if I'm going to do a camping outing or survival something in a survival situation, this is what I would want. This is what I would want. It's beefy, it's sturdy. The blade, man, that's pretty good. This blade, nah, that's pretty flimsy. This might be okay if I were going to try to fillet, and I like fillet a fish or something. I mean, because you kind of want a little bit of a flex there. This, no, and that's nice and stiff. This is going to do better when cutting through cordage, cutting through wood, those types of things. But they look very, very similar. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative to you. I hope it got your ideas in your head. What kind of knife do I need to carry? Should I carry? Where would I carry it? And I just realized while I was making this video that literally throughout my day, I have one of those knives or another knife somewhere within 2 or 3 seconds of me reaching out to grab it. I didn't realize I was that much into knives, but I guess so. But thank you for hanging out with us here again at Tribulation Ready Survival. Again, I hope the video was great. Get social with us on Facebook. We love to conversate with the people on our Facebook page. Subscribe down here, hit the like button, and also hit the bell if you want to be notified of our future videos when we put them out. Also, our shorts. I've been working on a lot of YouTube shorts lately. So, again, we will see you in the next video.